there have traditionally been two definitions of green infrastructure. The first, which is a little bit out of date now, is any infrastructure that deals with green or environmental issues. However, we've sort of moved that definition on now to mean any green space or vegetated area that actually has a function. It does what infrastructure does, but it's doing it in a green way, or it's doing it through green measures. So something like a swale, which can convey water, is a green infrastructure version of a pipe, or a bioretention area is a green infrastructure solution to taking pollutants out of surface water, for instance. Good examples of green infrastructure. There are a lot from elsewhere in the world, and we're only really starting to get a grips on it here. Green infrastructure has really been driven by biodiversity in this country, which is great. Biodiversity is a great insurance policy and makes sure the ecosystem services which green space can provide, so the water quality or the air quality improvements, are maintained. Elsewhere, particularly around water, Australia and the US are probably leading the way. Places like Portland, Oregon have used green spaces to clean water quite effectively, to improve water quality in their waterways, because their salmon populations were declining, and salmon is a really important economic resource for that part of the world. So Blue-Green City is the end point, really. It's saying that we are managing our blue resources, our water, and our green spaces, our green infrastructure in a way which work well together. So that is where we would like to get to.
Is there examples of?
Blue-Green City is an aspiration, really. It is where we'd like to be once we get through to all of these things, incrementally joining. The idea of green infrastructure managing water, or water-sensitive urban design, the process of integrating water management into design and planning and settlements would definitely have an impact on recent flooding. Okay, we had a lot of inundation, so a lot of water came, groundwater levels raised, we had saturation in the areas, which ultimately meant that water was just shedding off, and it couldn't get into the rivers because it couldn't go anywhere, so it overflowed. I mean, so once you get to that level of saturation, it's difficult. But really what blue-green solutions do is they take that first fall, and they stop it going into our sewage system quite so fast. So in hard urban areas, rainwater falls, it can't soak away anywhere, so it travels at great speed over the surface into our sewage system. Our sewage system can only take so much capacity, and therefore it starts to overflow. So if you can slow that process down using green space, or actually take it out of the system in all by using soakaways and allowing it to recharge groundwater, you start to alleviate some of that pressure. Absolutely. So climate change broadly is going to do one of three things. In wintertime, there's going to be a lot more rain. It's going to fall more regularly. In summertime, there's going to be less rain. But when it does come, it's going to be really heavy. But there really will be periods of drought. It's also going to get hotter. So what Blue-Green City aspiration will be, and what water-sensitive urban design can do through green infrastructure, is in terms of managing too much water, as I've just mentioned, it takes that first flush of rainfall and it stores it and prevents it from going into our sewage system to prevent overflow. On the flip side, we can look at local water storage for reuse. So in times of drought, we have a water resource which can be reused, which is very valuable. Also, by using green space in the urban environments, we can help manage the urban heat island effect. So in urban areas, all the dense materials generally heat up and retain that heat better and let that go at night, which makes cities much hotter. What green space does is that it reduces those overall temperatures by evapotranspiration, putting moisture into the air, but also they don't heat up themselves as much. So we have less overheating. And overheating in 2007, 2008 has killed lots of people. It's very dangerous for vulnerable people, old and the young. It's also very, the urban heat island effect is also very important for infrastructure. Infrastructure can overheat. If infrastructure overheats and it breaks down, we have blackouts and brownouts, energy supplies. So we need to keep the urban temperature constant and not overheating. I think the barriers are largely in making people work together collaboratively and giving them the space to be able to do that and come up with these ideas, because ultimately they're complex systems, they're not single issue systems. We have a tendency to focus on single issues and resolve them, But this is a complex set of issues that needs a range of different stakeholders and professionals to come together. And so allowing that to happen without siloing us is probably the most important thing, because actually we do already know how to do it. We just get stuck in not doing. Blue-green city is the end result. Water-sensitive urban design is the process. SUDs are the things. Sustainable drainage systems are the thing. So there are a range of different types of SUDs. Swales, permeable paving, bioretention tree pits, green roofs. They are types of SUDs. They need to build up into a treatment train where water is managed through several different SUDs to be able to give a water cycle process. Designing that process into the urban environment, the process of water-sensitive urban design, has to be collaborative. It can't be done by any one individual. It has to have that drainage expert, it has to have the planner, it has to have the landscape architect, it has to have the ecologists, it has to have the planners. So all these people need to come together to make it work effectively as a system. Water-sensitive urban design is a process of integrating green infrastructure solutions into the design and planning process for water management purposes. So we're not looking at drainage as a solution that can be built in. It is something that is brought into placemaking and livability of a place. So water management becomes a tool to create great communities.
And is it fundamentally treating water as a valuable resource?
Water is a valuable resource. It's fundamental to life, whether it's drinking or for irrigation for food or for transport, moving people and goods about. We need water. All our cities are closely related to water, but we treat water very negatively. We push it away, we put it into drains and we get rid of it as fast as we can. And then it's allowed to discharge away. Yet we pump water hundreds of miles to be able to use it as drinking water, and we treat it a lot to clean it. And we use treated clean water to flush our toilets. So there is a mismatch in the way in which we manage water in the urban environment. I think we do value it, but I think the way in which we could value it, we could get more out of it if we managed it in a more holistic, integrated way.